With me this evening is Selena Thompson. Hi, Selena.
Hi, Marion. Got to mention you're Marion McCauley.
Yeah.
We'll be on the broadcast with you this evening as we call the Doug MacKenzie Kendall Thompson game on sheet D.
It's pretty exciting to see this tournament get started. There's really 8 very strong men's team here in Nova Scotia this year, and I think we're going to have some great curling here this week.
And this is our first men's draw. So if you did tune in this afternoon, that was the women's draw. We're partnering and also hosting the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. So we have both the women's and the men's provincial championships here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. If you'd like to come out, we'd love to see you. We're on Canal Street in downtown Dartmouth. And if not, we'll catch you on Bell TV1, and we're really excited to have everybody. And we're just getting started off here. Team Thompson with the hammer. So we got 2 stones through, and for Team MacKenzie, want to do the intro for the teams there, Marion?
Yeah, so playing lead for Team MacKenzie is Jared Brown, and second stone will be Richard Barker, third Shea Steele, and at skip Doug MacKenzie. So it's pretty open so far. I think everybody's just trying to get a feel for the ice, and it's pretty normal to play pretty conservative here to get started, but we now have a center guard up, so it looks like Kendall's going around.
Yeah, so he's asking lead Michael Brophy to throw his second stone around that center guard, and then following Michael will be second Chris McRae, third Bryce Everest, and of course the skip Kendall Thompson, and they have brought their fifth along with them, Matt Manuel. Everybody's question of the week has been, is Kendall ready to play? So he did not play in the qualifier earlier this month. He hurt his ankle, sprained his ankle in December of all times to do it, and is ready to go. But they did have Matt Manuel in, played for them in the qualifier to get them through. So he is their fifth player, and he just finished his final year in junior. So I'm sure he's going to be looking for a men's team to pick up next year.
Yeah, it's good exposure for him to have gotten the opportunity to play in the qualifier. So that rock didn't finish there, Selena, but it does look like nice curl from what we saw watching the practice ice. The provincial rocks were refurbished this summer, and it looks like they're getting some nice curl here on the ice at Dartmouth, and the rocks are moving nice.
Yeah, it might just take a little bit, the first end or two to get everything warmed up. It's kind of how we refer to it, although they don't really get that warm. They just, the ice gets worn in.
Right, so Richard Barker hit and rolled out, so Chris McRae is going to try this come around, and I noticed that Kendall has decided this time to opt for the out turn versus the in turn to see how this is moving on this side.
Yeah, well, for Chris it's his in turn, and that's probably another part of the reason it's his side. He's the lefty on the team, so I have a lefty on my team this year for the first time ever, and she throws second stone, so it's interesting. I find myself trying to call different shots just because she can maybe see more of the rock from one side of the sheet, so it's interesting, especially when the other team all has right-handers. We can make shots that they can't.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not as quick to catch on that that's what you're doing. So it's a good little secret weapon. This looks like a beautiful shot. Maybe just a little short. If that had been T-line top 4 weight, that would have buried, I think, completely.
Yeah, they did get some finish. It's just half in the 12-foot. It's probably not visible enough to stick the shooter, so Doug's going to ask Richard Barker to play the short run back. Just waiting for this to come up so they can clip the yellow stone, and it does just that. Leaves 2 corners, which is an interesting result. One of them's pretty tight to the rings, and the other one's wider out, so that's the one that Kendall's going to ask Chris to go behind.
Again, he's given him his in turn, so it's probably the one that he gets a little better finish on.
Yeah, I find regardless of hand, it's that in turn that usually gets a little more curl for most players. So this will be a new path. And the draw to the button they drew coming the other direction to determine last rock. And so they both teams wouldn't have played a lot to the wings. So what I saw in the earlier game was it was a little slower. We had a couple wrecks on guards, but they're working hard to get this one by.
They have lots of weight. I think that's, it looks like it's going to stop fairly nice on the T line. That's looks fully buried from where I'm my vantage point.
Yeah, so I guess they figured out that spot. Didn't need too much help to figure it out. So Shea Steele's up here now, and he's going to be looking for another run back.
It's nice to see Shea back. I don't think he was playing, if I recall correctly, he hasn't curled competitively the last couple of years. So it's always nice when you see players coming back to play.
So misses the run, but the shooter rolls all the way over to the other side of the house. Almost stopped behind that guard, but I think it's visible for Bryce. I guess I should mention, if you are watching, there are 8 teams in this field. It's a round robin, so they'll play all the other teams once, so there's a 7-game round robin.
Yeah, and I think we could mention who's playing on the other sheets tonight, because we will do score updates as we go along. So on sheet B, we have Stuart Thompson playing Ian Fitzner-LeBlanc. On C is Kevin Ouellette playing Jamie Murphy. And then, of course, there's our feature game on D. And on E, we have Chad Stevens playing Brent McDougall.
So we expect a week of good curling from all these men's teams. And it'll end in a top 3 playoff with a semi and a final. So they're all vying for one of those top 3 spots. And it's all based on the record. And then it goes to head-to-head and can get really complicated when there's 3-way ties.
And
but
there could
then
be a lot of tiebreakers.
Yeah.
But, you know, for those that like to come out and watch on the weekend, the schedule is set, and the times for the semifinals and finals and such won't change. Tiebreakers could rattle around what time they are, but if you'd like to come out Sunday, the times are set, and check the Nova Scotia Curling website, Association website for all those details.
That's nscurl.com, and all the live scores are there as well.
So it looks like Kendall's got a chance to sit 2 here, and he's got hammer in this opening end.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward end after that nice come around from Chris, and kind of set this up. Pretty open house.
This one looks like it might not stay, though. I'm thinking he's going to hit and roll out. Bryce will be disappointed with that. Probably was hoping to just trade shots there and get their deuce.
Yeah, it would have been simple and straightforward. We did see, I can't remember if it was lead or second stones from Team MacKenzie. We did see a rock run straight there as well. So maybe just up in the weight, and they need to adjust where the broom position is. That would be my first impression.
Yeah, the ice looks fairly quick, and sometimes with it's these rocks when you up your weight, and they'll actually run extremely straight. So you either need to adjust and throw a little less weight, or adjust the broom. They'll sort that out. So I think there's a little bit of there's a possibility here of getting an inside roll behind that corner, even getting a half tucked.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. We're not quite behind the sheet, but it does look like there is room for Doug to get a little flop under that blue tight guard.
Doesn't look like he's throwing big weight. That just looks like a nice control weight he's throwing.
Yeah, Doug's specialty is the softer weight shots.
And there you go. Perfect roll.
What a great shot.
Yeah, that's a great start. But it's a pretty short run back for Kendall.
They'll want to hit this at an angle, maybe be able to roll the shooter toward the, I don't know if he'll be able to roll it on the rings, but try and eliminate both blue stones. You don't want to run it straight back and leave a blue buried.
A bit of weight coming here.
This one looks like it's curling a bit. They were off, but just misses.
That just missed it, yeah.
So he could have rolled the shooter on, because the shooter rolled all the way out of the ring, so a little thicker, and the shooter might have stuck around. So that leaves the blue stone in the ring. So Doug Not a great chance to steal in terms of it being a buried stone, but he'll sit 2 and try and force Kendall to a
expect
draw
he'll
for
sit
1.
2 where maybe a nose hit isn't number 1 and probably like to force Kendall to a draw. Yeah, it looks like he's opting to separate them a bit.
I was just watching Doug. He throws in the stabilizer, so he holds his broom the rest of the time. But of course, then when you go to put the broom down, when you're only holding your stabilizer, he just grabs Shay's broom and moves it.
It looked like he grabbed Shay and everything.
That's one way to tell your third where to put the broom.
On the men's side, you don't see that many thrown with the stabilizer. A few more on the women's side, but I'm sure I see. Oh yeah, I see a couple of other people out here with stabilizers. Oh, I see there was a quick change there in the plan. He got in the hack and decided he would throw to the center.
It's the draw to the button, well, what they would have practiced more in the practice. Although the sweeper's sweeping this one, it's holding out wide. They really just need this to be in the rings. They're not super worried about how deep. They just wanted to make sure it was there.
Yeah. Actually, that's a pretty good placement because nose does give you number 1, but it's easy sometimes at the back of the house for a rock to curl, over curl on you sometimes, but it looks like he's playing pretty quiet.
Oh, I think this is just a straight draw.
You think it's straight draw?
Yeah.
Well, he did the draw to the button for the team, and they did win the draw to the button. He was just at the back of the 4-foot, so should have a pretty good feel for draw weight.
I always like to use that hammer to get 2, but take 1 when you're forced and you have the chance. So this is last stone here in the first end. Kendall Thompson throwing the yellow stones. Draw for 1.
Sweepers are working pretty hard on this one too.
They want to bite the 4-foot there just to make sure. And they'll get it there for 1.
They have to give those sweepers a little pat in the back. They swept that pretty much end-end, but better to keep your sweepers in the game than have them watch a rock coast too far. So always as a front ender, happier to be just sweeping than watching. So that gives us a score of 1-0 for Kendall Thompson over Doug MacKenzie in the first end. Notice on sheet D, looks like Stevens' team picked up 1 over McDougall. And Ouellette picked up 1 over Murphy. And
might have been a blank on our other sheet.
Yeah, it looks like Thompson had hammer, and did they throw first though? No, they're throwing.
Oh, they're throwing first, so there probably was a score there. We'll see. We'll keep you updated when it's posted, and I'm going to guess it'll be updated on nscurl.com pretty quickly too.
So we're going to start off. Kendall's decided to game on. He's going with the nice tight guard to start the second end. It's great for us. That like to see them play in a kind of an aggressive game. It would be more interesting. Nice weight.
And these are 10 end games. If you're just tuning in here to the Deloitte Tankard and have been used to watching all the Bonspiels all season, provincial and championship, national championship play does have 10 ends. So oftentimes, and that goes to your comment, Marion, about game on a little earlier, is a lot of times we are seeing more open ends for the first couple. Teams get settled in and know that they're going to have, a further 8 ends after they play 2.
I've been playing in different things the last few years, number of years that are only 8 ends. I don't know if I have 10 ends in me anymore.
Feels long. That extra 2 ends, that extra half hour, it feels long. They are on timers, 38 minutes of thinking time, so they can't take 4 hours to play these 10 ends. It's usually
2
hangs it around
each.
Yeah. We're usually in it for about 2.5 to 2 3/4 hours with a break at the 5th end, or after the 5th end, sorry.
So MacKenzie team slipped through, so now Michael would like to, Brophy, take advantage of his own guard and draw behind. It's got nice weight. It's not, doesn't seem to be quite finished in the way that they're expecting. They're not quite getting the finish, but there's nice finish. I think sweeping weight would finish really hard.
Yeah, if it were 2 feet lighter. And it was a blank in the first for the Thompson-Fitzner-LeBlanc game, so we must have just missed the first stone of the end. No
Yeah, we
score
don't have
there.
the best seats in the house, so we're not we're having to work kind of hard to see some of these things.
Yeah, we can see our feature sheet, but everything else is it's a little more hidden. So that one from Jared, that's 2 in a row. His first one deep and went through, and that one just a little deep and ricocheted off. So ends up being a good setup for the Thompson rink in terms of having a center guard and a rock buried on the button.
And here comes the lefty with the what would be his out turn.
This is out now, yeah, but they don't have much of a choice. This is the way that they've been.
No, but I found it
throwing.
interesting that, you know, he certainly doesn't need as much ice, and you can see it's not. It's a nice looking weight.
They're getting a little bit of finish there. Better sweeper's weight, so they can sweep it at the end. So the sweepers will leave it until it starts to slow down and really take the majority of the rock's curl, and then they'll try and get every last inch out of it to take that biggest amount of curl.
So on the circuit this year, Kendall's team had a lot of successes playing in the Bonspiel circuit this year. They won the Jim Sullivan Classic in St. John, New Brunswick. They were quarterfinalists at the Casino Challenge de Charlevoix. They were quarterfinalists at the Sioux Cells Classic here in Halifax. They won the Alexander Keith Cashbiel here in Halifax, and they were semifinalists at the Curling Store Cashbiel in Sackville. That helps a lot with your confidence as a team as you're building like that throughout the season. And the MacKenzie team played in 3 spiels. They played in the Mayflower Cashbiel, and they were semifinalists. They played in the Halifax Sioux Cells, but they didn't qualify, and they also played in the St. John Cashbiel and were in the semifinals. So both teams had some success this year, but the Thompson team did a little bit more traveling and spieling. See, they got lots of sponsors on their jackets. You have to have good sponsors if you're going to be doing the traveling. And speaking of sponsors, we got a great sponsor for this this tournament. Deloitte is our corporate sponsor, and thank you very much to Deloitte for their interest in curling and putting forth considerable sponsorship for this week.
Absolutely. It takes a lot to run one of these tournaments. There's a lot of organization and making sure that ice conditions are great for the teams. And it's been a few years now for Deloitte, so we really do appreciate the support, and the teams do as well. So we saw a nice shot there from Richard on his first, actually getting both of the Thompson Yellowstones moving, and then just a little miss from Chris. Didn't make the hit and roll that he was looking for, so a chance to sit 2 here. This one's over curling,
yeah,
though.
I thought he looked a little tight, and they started sweeping right out of his hand. So, but the MacKenzie team does have a couple little biters around, so Kendall has to be a little careful. He does have shot rock, and he can come in and.
It's the opposite. Maybe.
Oh, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kendall's are the yellows on in the edge. So
there you go.
Instead of Team MacKenzie there, they were hitting to sit 2, and now
they're hitting to sit 3.
Yeah, the opposite.
Yeah. Sorry about that, boo-boo.
Yeah, it's just funny how things can change in curling. You think it's set up one way, and then one miss or one excellent shot, and things can switch completely. That's why we like curling, right?
That's right. It's never over till it's over, either.
This one's curling a lot, too. So you mentioned earlier that you weren't necessarily seeing as much curl as you expected, but I think we're starting to see it now here in the second. Yeah, first
Doug was thinking of hitting and rolling behind the center guard, but then that rock would have been behind the 4-foot, behind the button, and that would have allowed the Thompson team to come in and freeze on top of it. So I think this is probably a better call. He's going to hit and roll over in front of the one and try and keep it.
Yeah, keep that 4-foot open.
This one's curling. Hard. This is the same spot that that spot's really curling. That's that number 1.
So it's open, but it is shot stone. Can't really ignore it if you're the team without hammer. That center guard is, we might see Doug go around that. If it comes down to it and he thinks he's going to get forced to a single anyway, he may just ignore all these yellow ones around the edges and come around.
Again, signaling here that Bryce has got big weight.
They're still sweeping though, so it's curling. It's very interesting.
And they curled.
So we get that roll behind the guard. They probably wanted to keep that a bit more open. I think that's going to force Doug to play that draw.
For sure. Especially what we've seen here is if it doesn't quite finish, then it'll be some jam possibilities here when they go to play it. Teams are playing at a nice pace. It's good to see the players ready in the hack and building some time up here in the early ends.
They're trying to save all that thinking time for later. Of course, if you're not familiar with thinking time in these timed games, the time is counted against a team when the rock is not in motion. So rocks come to rest. Team's Thompson's thinking time, and until the next rock is delivered, it'll keep running. So
I just think that was one of the best changes they made.
I agree.
It was really unfair when it used to be the time that the rock was moving, because you get down, you're playing a lot of draws, you're eating up more time. This was a great change to go to thinking time.
Puts everything to fair ground. You will see teams occasionally both kind of agree, okay, this is going to be an end where we bank a little bit of time and they play a less strategy intense game. But for the most part, it really does take that advantage of just throwing more hits, being a faster game. So the come around's the call here. I thought maybe he'd play a hit. It is open on the opposite side of the sheet. So this is to cut down the scoring area and force Doug to a single on the first of skip stones.
Looks like this. Looks like it's curling. Is he by the?
They're working hard to get it by.
No, he's by. He's by.
Once they're by, they'll probably switch sweepers. And no, we didn't see the switch. Just playing the straight draw, not even the freeze. That one looks pretty good to me. Looks like it's buried.
And it's in front of the tee line, which is, I think, why he didn't want to play the freeze. If he played the freeze, then Doug was able to come down right on top of him and sit number 1. And this is going to force Doug to, looks like maybe he's going to play corner freeze or maybe a little freeze tap.
Yeah, I think a corner freeze, and then hope to have some kind of heavier weight shot on his last. Doug's trying to set himself up for his last shot with something to give him a chance for a couple. It's been all yellow. There's just the one blue in the rings, but could be a scoring potential if this is made well.
Looks like the sweepers like the weight on this. They're didn't touch it till they're halfway down.
Yeah, they're going
So
hard for
ricocheting
line now,
yep.
though. They want to keep this on the high side of center. They get it by. Oh, they just rubbed the front. Redirect. It might actually work in their favor, but it took some of the weight off.
I think it was going to over curl and be right on top of it. So
yellow, the Thompson stone remains shot, and the thinking is, I mean, do you need to remove that top blue stone, or could you just guard? There's not a great way for Doug to access that yellow, with the exception of an in-off, so I'd be a little concerned about that. There is an in-off on the wide side.
If Kendall plays nose on this, he may pick the back blue one with him, but he probably doesn't want to. I don't know if he necessarily...
No, he'd be more worried about just not
yeah.
running it back onto his own. So
Exactly.
playing this tight would be the way to go, but you also don't want to hit the stone up front because that's guarding your shot stone. This is definitely the easier way for Doug to score a couple points, so I don't think you can ignore this stone. That's why it's being hit.
Absolutely.
So this is up weight. Try and remove some of the curl. Gonna get it by the front. And the shooter will stick around. Probably fourth stone. So Doug had that draw on his first. He's probably just going to have to play the same thing. Might be able to rub a little bit off the yellow stone, but this is pretty much a cold draw to the button, I think. I don't think he can come into his own in the back and score.
Guard is, yeah. It would be interesting to see if he's playing the cold draw or whether he's trying to, enough just to, seems like too much ice if he was going to try to move the yellow a little bit. There was a nice finish there. We did see a couple shots finish hard here.
I'd be tempted to play that in off if this is for a single, but you could get two playing the other shot. I know you don't really want to give up a steal, but
there's too many yellows around.
Yeah, if you ever hit it too thin and removed your own,
he'd be shaking
not
hands.
in good shape. So the straight draw, this is last
No,
rock.
I think he's trying to move that yellow rock.
Little tap.
Yep. Because we saw that nice finish on a couple of the. It's a nice shot, but I think it just resulted in one.
Yeah, I'll have to see what they call. Blue and the yellow are pretty close. They're tapping the yellow. It might have been a steal one. We'll have to see. Yeah, yellow's up.
Yellow's in the hack.
So almost made that. She just had to bump it a couple inches further.
And it would have been a deuce.
And things would have gone, differently. So for now, we're looking at a steal of one for Team Thompson and a 2-0 lead after two.
I see on sheet B, they just posted that Stuart Thompson got 2 in the second end, so that's 2-0 for Thompson over Fitzner LeBlanc. The other scoreboards haven't been updated. When they are, we notice that, we'll give you an update. I'll try not to look around too much since the last end I got mixed up and who's what color.
It gets confusing when the Blue Jackets are throwing the yellow stones. We had a game earlier today and the Blue Jackets were throwing blue and it was very convenient.
Well then, see, we should be commentating Murphy's game because I see their yellow jackets have yellow rocks.
It's not always going to work out like that. There's 7 games, so 4 of them are going to be with one color and 3 with the other color, but we can always hope for future games for things to be easy. So,
not surprising, Kendall Thompson team has chosen to come right in. They have a nice rock in the top 4. But, MacKenzie team is opting to go for corner guards.
I don't think we mentioned the winners of the tournament are vying for a place at the Tim Hortons Brier, the 2019 Brier. in Westoba Place in Brandon.
What a great place to go play a Briar. That's well known in Brandon for being terrific hosts for national curling events. Lots of diehard curlers
No
there.
shortage of curlers in Manitoba, that's for sure. And that is March?
March 2nd to 10th. A different format now with all the provinces having representation in the territories and a Team Canada.
So good little guard coming in there. So we saw the stone in the rings from Michael Brophy, then a corner guard from Jared Brown, and then a center guard. So this is very typical. We didn't talk about the 5-rock rule yet, Marion, but that is in play this year for all championships, and I think all Bonspiels have adopted that 5-rock rule as well. So the team cannot remove an opponent's guard from play until after the 5th rock has come to rest. So we tend to see a few more guards and rocks in play. With the weight these teams throw, you also, have that ability of teams to remove a lot of stones with one. So that extra guard does come in handy for teams that need to get those points and get stones in play.
Yeah, it's been a really great change. You never really feel like you're out of the game. Even down 2 coming home, you feel like 3 is in play more than you used to think a deuce, but now it feels like you can set yourself up to get a 3. So what's the call here?
I couldn't see it. I was just wondering the same thing.
They have a nice setup there. I mean,
yeah, I want to say it's another guard, actually. The stone in the rings is in a really good position. But it looks like it's curling too much for that. They could be tapping, but I think it's just another guard. You'll often see teams put one in the 4-foot and then one a little higher in the rings and then a guard up.
Right,
so
they didn't
mimicking
really,
that.
Right, they didn't really have the 4-foot, the normal center guard up, so.
So they couldn't, the reason that guard was played was they can't remove the blue guard, so they say, well, we may as well guard our shot stone and we'll access those blues later.
So if anybody's trying to get their head around this 5-rock rule, the way I try to remember it is if you're the team with hammer, then second stone, the first second stone can remove rocks.
Yeah. And that's what Richard's doing right now. If you have hammer, nothing's changed, basically.
Exactly.
But if you don't, then you can't peel as early as you typically would want to.
Oh,
and that
nice
looks
shot.
like a nice, just goes over top of the back blue, rubs off. Oh, that's a really good result. So now we're into peel territory. Chris might be able to get both of those
No,
blues.
if we are in peel territory, they might be considering going around.
They are, only because there are 2 corner guards. I think we're early enough that you don't have to worry about being
Oh, I think they've
super
decided for the
aggressive.
double peel, the 2 corners. I think he signaled that maybe both corners, and a little roll towards the rings himself. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens
the
there.
primary goal will be to remove this one. I think secondary, you run into the other blue, and maybe your shooter will spill into the rings. But the main goal is to remove this corner guard to access the backstone. They're playing this the flat way, so the across the face to get a flatter roll, and just,
there you go.
Just what I call. It's always nice when that works out. It's a good shot there.
That was a great
Chris.
shot. Chris threw a lot of weight there. And that's what made that shot, really, is being able to throw that kind of weight, get that kind of action. See the Murphy team blanked the second. So it's still 1-0 for Ouellette over Murphy. playing the draw around the center guard here. MacKenzie is going to ignore that rock at the back 8.
Yeah, with like the guard there, it's a good chance to score a couple. With that one.
Ooh, tight getting by the guard.
They'd love for that to outcount the other yellow, and it does. The sweepers didn't want to sweep it because they knew it was going to overcurl. They're that tight to the guard, and it goes to the tee line. It's probably popping out the other side. Yeah, quite. But it's not the sweeper's job to call the line, so they just have to listen.
Maybe Dougie had his head tilted where he could see more room.
It happens.
It happens, yeah.
So this is a peel. Probably going for the run back, actually, because you can catch either of the blue stones. And that one straight back does a good job there from Bryce Everest. It's really good shots here this end for both teams.
Considering it's their first game, and they did have some practice time today. Presumably all the players were out to that, but sometimes not everybody gets out for that practice ice time.
Yeah, and I thought they get a chance to run all the sheets, not just one, not the one they're playing on, because they will be playing on all the sheets throughout the tournament. So Shea can see a little bit of that yellow stone peeking out the other side. Just trying to make contact and stick a shooter would be the important part here. It's rolling, but it might not go all the way out of the rings.
Oh, it hung on.
Sticks around. It's a little bit of a predicament here for Kendall. There's a jam potential. If he plays a double on the 2 blues, he's indicating that yellow is shot stone, so you really only do need to hit one of the blues and stay sitting 2.
I think his call was for normal weight. I was just kind of noticing his different signals. But no, this looks like just a control weight. So it's a fairly straight spot, so they're not throwing big weight. Just good to see when you want to save your shooter. And on the nose.
So those 2 yellows are quite even as well. Not really a double potential there for Doug, so I suspected he would go for this draw. We saw him do it last end as well. You're getting down on mate stones and skip stones coming up, so try and give yourself a chance for that deuce. When you do this, you know you're probably going to be throwing a draw on your last, but Doug's comfortable with that.
The finish is looking really nice here, but it looks maybe a little bit heavy. Maybe not. No,
yeah,
looking
they are
really nice.
gliding.
No, they're
might popped out the other side a little bit.
Excuse me.
Well positioned at the top of the 4-foot though.
That's sitting right behind it. From your vantage point there, can Kendall see a little piece of that?
I think so. I'm looking at the overhead and I can see the yellow guard is just to the left, or it's splitting the center line, but not quite half and half. It's just slightly to the left, and that blue stone is fully on the left of the center line, so it's likely I'd say a third exposed.
It looks like he's taking ice for quiet weight. Just play.
The way to play this, you just play it tight, and if you remove the guard and move it over, that's fine. You wouldn't ever want to flash everything. Sweepers are going hard on this one to get it by. Once it's by, they'll let it go. If they get it by. We'll see.
Oh,
just rubs.
That's sort of the worst case scenario, is no shots. When you think you might be getting by, you keep sweeping, and then you just get that rub. You didn't really remove the guard.
Yeah.
But, you know, MacKenzie team's going to have to be careful here that they they draw one in where there's not a double because there's a lot of yellows around.
Yeah, yellows at second, third, and fourth. So the ideal position for this is behind the guard, and a half protecting the blue stone and mostly buried. But it was a good draw there from Shea that really has opened up this chance for multiple points here.
I see the score in the third end, which is posted on sheet B. Stuart Thompson scored stole 2 on Ian Fisner-Blanc. They're up 4-0. So, Selena, who are you cheering for if Stuart and Kendall are in the final together?
Both. I can't pick.
They should play together.
And it's
so
not
that
fair to ask me.
I know,
I'm just teasing.
They should play together so the family can make it easier.
Oh, yeah. They did used to play together when Kendall skipped. They won junior provincials and went to nationals together, and then Kendall aged out and Stuart took on skipping in juniors, and they just never played together since. They're both skips, so I guess that makes it difficult to play together.
So that really curled. Dougie had ice
Yeah.
well into the 12-foot, and it finished, it was a lot of curl.
I think we're going to see pretty big weight here from Kendall. Trying to get motion on both of those blue stones.
And then he has to
one near the
navigate
broom
all
is
these
higher.
yellows.
Yeah. Not super worried about where his shooter goes if he makes the double. Big thing is to remove at least one of the blues. Has to make contact with one first, though. And that'll go by everything. Sitting 2. This is a draw for 3 for Doug. And that came out of nowhere.
That came out of nowhere because the Thompson rink had some fantastic shots in that end. That's what we were saying a while ago. That's curling.
So last rock, third end, down 2, but a draw for 3 here for Doug. It was all yellow this end, and then a good draw out of Shea Steele, and a couple misses from the opposing skip. Leaves this shot available. He needs to be full 8 foot.
Now this one's not taking the same line as the first one. It's out there a long ways compared to the first one. Whether that's because it's a little heavy or whether he just in a different track.
That's a little heavier, but got some curl there. It starts to slow down. Ooh, might be close.
From our vantage point, we couldn't call that.
2 for sure.
They might be signaling that they're going to have a measure there. Yeah, looks like they're heading for a measuring stick.
So we'll have a pause on the clocks and bring out the stick. I see Julie Morley, our official, coming out to get the measuring device.
Yeah, they're
or take a look.
Oh, no, they're using the laser now.
The more accurate measuring device. Should have known that. They use that for the draw of the button. So everyone will take a look and see what it reads, and the further distance is the one that is not closer.
The laser sure is easier than getting out a measuring stick.
And having to go around twice. But they do have to fiddle with it a little bit to try and find the point at which it's closest to the device. So the shortest distance on the rock. Just pointing at yellow. Don't know if that's closer or further. But they might take another look at it.
I think they want her to. Players aren't used to the laser, as familiar with using it. It may take a while for them to have the confidence that that's the tool is as accurate. I know the officials have done quite a bit of work to test laser versus the stick, and they feel that the laser is very accurate.
Yeah, they're used in a lot of different. I use it in my career, I measure rooms and figure things out, and it doesn't have to be perfect for mine, but I'm holding mine on one wall in my hand. This is stuck into the pin, and as long as you've tested the pin, I would assume that there's a good degree of accuracy. Oh, and they do count at 3 for MacKenzie, so just stopped in the nick of time.
Well, I can't say a few minutes ago that I thought that was the way the Zen was going to go, so it's quite a turnaround. See if we can give you some score updates from other sheets. On sheet D, Stevens stole 2, so it's 3-0 for Stevens over McDougall. And in sheet B, Murphy picked up 3 in the third to lead 3-1 over Ouellette. So our sheet's a little bit behind, but still the time's not looking too bad on the clock.
No, you usually get about 3.5 minutes is a good way to judge your thinking time per end. If you use too much more than that, you're going to be in trouble at the end of the game. But they do have 2 timeouts available each team. So Team Thompson down for the first time this game, down 1. We see the center guard up from Team MacKenzie, and now corner guard being called. Trying to get this to curl a little bit more so that it's available to actually come around, and there's a gap between the blue and the yellow stones. So sweepers got that done for Michael.
MacKenzie playing the come around here, but the sweepers are backing off. It's never a good sign when the sweepers start slowing down, like they're not going to stay with the rock. It wasn't too bad, but it just didn't curl like they thought it would, or maybe it was a little out. Come around the corner guard. Michael just threw the guard, now trying to come around it. So they want to get the rock past the guard, and then of course they want it to stop. They don't want to go too far and slip behind that tee line. They'll stop just at the back of the tee line. So no peel available just yet for the team without hammer. But they'll just try and put another one in behind that center line guard. This one's curling.
We got the same thought at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little bit light, and it just there is definitely a spot there where there's a lot more curl, and so a little bit of thinking here. I think you can peel those front ones and not leave something to jam.
Yeah, they could play onto the blue stone, the back 4 foot, but if you play that and then try and roll, of course you're behind behind the tee line. So the call is just for the straight draw. They've got a stone buried and the shot stone is visible, so it's actually going to be really good if Chris can bury this.
I think his is going to curl. He's the sweepers are holding it good. I thought it looked out of his hand like it was going.
Yeah, they were on it right away, probably for weight as well, maybe a little bit light. That one is diving hard at the guard, so I think it is just light. The bounce off is good. They can tap it, but they would love to have that behind those guards and in the rings. When you don't play the peel and then that happens, you really wish you'd played the peel.
It's only the right call when you make the shot.
Exactly.
This has got lots of weight. Richard's playing in behind, and to me it looks like it's oh, see how they're digging there. That rock was really moving, and once it starts to make that big move,
yeah,
the weight comes right off it.
You have to know as a sweeper.
Run this yellow one back.
Yeah, I wonder if Chris can get up to nose and run it straight back, or if he ever were to hit the blue one first. Might get a little bit of luck there.
I think we're going to see some heat based on where this broom is placed.
Might be peel weight plus.
Turned out to be a good shot.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how Kendall had called that there. Just ricochet off the blue, separate them, and get the run back onto the one in the rings. Still an option for Team MacKenzie to sink another one. They'd love to get this one just tucked behind that guard a little bit, I think.
Christmas treat, I like to call it.
Yeah, and they'd be well aware of that yellow over on the side that can come into play if the blues are gone, so they need to protect their stones in the rings.
This looks like the weight is there on its own.
This one is finishing nicely. We've seen really nice finish in this spot.
Weight.
Not much of a choice here. You got to get rid of that guard. He's going to try and get 2 shots out of it.
He's hoping to pick the one on the side of the 4-foot with it.
Yeah, straight round back doesn't do much. So you leave a guard out front. So the idea here is to get the shooter to roll a little bit to the side. Keep this on the high side of the center line, but it looks like it's curling quite a bit. Catch something, so that'll roll out of the way. Leaves 2 blues right in the center of the rings. That 4-foot area is getting
it's getting kind of tight.
Tight, yeah. There's a few stones out there blocking the draw path. So not really any question here for Doug. He's asking Shea to put up that guard again.
Looks like it might overcurl.
Yeah, this one's moving.
Which, of course, is the reason why Kendall wanted to clear that front, because sometimes putting that perfect guard on is not as easy as it sounds, especially when rocks are sharp, you know, have a nice finish on them, and just a little extra. Ooh, we had a fall over a nice B. Yep, jumping up.
Travis went down wearing it on his hands, but he gets up quickly. We've all been there. So we'll take a break and see how he's doing.
He looks a little sore.
So they want to make sure the roll's nice here on Bryce's. Maybe he undercalled the sweep there. I think they wanted to curl a little bit more over in front of that blue stone, but still a good shot regardless. So Doug's having to deal with it. Don't want to jam it on his back once. He's going to hit and roll. Just can't roll too far. He wants to stay second shot. So this will be a little bit of a delicate hit here in a spot that we've seen curl quite a bit. I just saw another steal of 2 there as Doug's getting ready on sheet B. It looked like another steal of 2 for Team Stuart Thompson.
Yes, that'll make them 6-0. 4 ends. All right, so Rock is on the way in our sheet. No big panic out of his hand. There it goes.
I want this to curl up to probably about 2/3 of a rock to try and get the roll. Just squeaked it by. I don't know if the throne stone is shot over the back blue. Kendall probably just gonna have to play the double anyway. There is a double on those 2 blues, and if your shooter makes the double, it's going to roll in behind the guards. So they're playing the double, you think, Marion? I didn't see the call, but I would think that that's what it must be. Try and remove both blues and roll the shooter. This one's a little wide, though. Probably will roll the shooter. It's going to hit it right on the nose. The shooter will stay out front. And it is raisable onto the other blue. Blue remains shot, but second and third are in favor of yellow.
Blue's been having some success drawing, so it looks like they're just going to ignore all of that, and they're just going to draw in with that nice finishes that we've been seeing. Let's have a little look around there. I see that Stevens' team stole 1 and 4, so 4-0 for McDougall. McDougall chose to hit the number 2 rock and concede 1.
For Stevens, you mean?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I think Doug would pick a draw over a hit any day. It's,
for sure.
His style of play. They'd love to sit 2 after this. It's
not finishing the way that they had hoped. Looks like he may actually bump. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, well.
You got it done anyway.
That's when you look at. That's when you look at the opposition and say, "Sorry."
So blue sits 2. So that rock must have been a little heavy because it made pretty good contact with the yellow and then still rolled into the second shot. But we're seeing a tap here. Tap for 1. this team hasn't played anything. They did just watch Doug's come down with a little bit of up weight, with maybe tap weight. So this will be a similar shot here.
Similar shot. Similar. He took a very similar ice, I noticed. Where,
to wait for it to curl.
so it's very interesting. If you have a little extra weight, it does not curl hard, but that finish and draw weight finishes hard. It looks good.
Does the trick there for the single?
Tie game.
It's an exciting game.
Exactly. Kendall's probably thinking that was a bit more work than I. Yes, great game so far. See, the Ouellette team scored 1 and 4, so Murphy 3-2 over Ouellette. Everybody's in the 5th end, and in the 5th they take a 5th end break. We'll probably take a little break ourselves.
If you are just tuning in here on Bell TV1, you are watching the Deloitte Tankard, the men's provincial curling championships, and 8 teams vying for the one lone position that gets to go to Brandon, Manitoba, March 2nd to 10th for the Brier. We also like having our streaming partner 360 Live here with us, bringing you 2 sheets of coverage the whole week. So thank you to 360 Live for joining us.
I'd like to mention too that the Canadian Juniors is on this week in Saskatchewan. We have Team Caitlin Jones and Team Graham Weagle representing Nova Scotia. I didn't get a chance to look up any scores yet today. They both played this morning. Do you know how they did this morning?
I did see that Jones won. They're, of course, the defending world champions.
So that makes them 3-0. Weagle was 1-1 after yesterday. I'm just going to look that up here. Give an update on that.
So we've got a center guard and we've got a stone buried.
We got a blue rock buried. So Nova Scotia boys are 3-1. And Manitoba is 3-0 in front of them, but they're in 2nd place in their pool. Up the ladies here. They'll be on TV this weekend. You'll be able to watch the semis and the finals. The Canadian Juniors will be broadcast. And Nova Scotia is 3-1.
Oh, I must have seen an outdated score from today.
No, I think. Oh, sorry, that's the boys again. I looked at the boys. Find the girls. The boys are 3-1, and yeah, the girls
so the girls
are 3-1. So they lost this morning to British Columbia. Looks like a very tight game. They lost 8-7, and then they beat Northern Ontario this afternoon. That British Columbia team is skipped by a gal that Sarah Daniels, who went to the Worlds with them 1 year as their 5th player, so she has lots of experience. So back to our game here.
A nice series of come-arounds. So the last one there from Jared just coming up a little bit late. They wanted that one in the rings, sitting on the tee, the 2nd tee in Deloitte. So the MacKenzie team with Blue Rocks were tied, and they have hammer. But I don't know that they're really antsy to score here in 5. Oftentimes you'll see a team try and blank 5 and have hammer in 6. The even ends, of course, all the all-important ends that teams tend to like to score in.
They seem to be more important as the game goes on as well. You don't worry too much about that in the early ends, but as you get later in the game, I'm quite conscious of even versus odd ends.
So a little bit of interesting lineup there. The two blues, if anything's run back into them, the yellow's going to stay, and the blues will probably spring open. So a little bit of consideration there from Doug. He's going to have the team come down and take a look. They got lots of time. We're both at over 23 minutes on the clock, and if you can finish the fifth end with 20 minutes, you're in pretty good shape, more than half the time. That's my. If you're at 19 minutes, you're a little sketchy territory. Starting to get into it. The second half of the game often takes a little bit more time than the first.
They do have the option at first, second stone with hammer to move these front rocks.
Yeah, if they're not liking the situation, they can peel. That's for sure. They're also thinking that maybe the whole situation is going to set up as a guard, and they could come around. I don't love that as the team with hammer. I don't like playing around the center all that often. You can get yourself in trouble with one miss, and the team can capitalize. I like the peel call here. But
I like the peel call here as well.
We obviously play a similar style game.
Yeah, and I think, looking at the way this game has gone so far, though, you see that the style of this team is a touch draw game. I think the high hard ones are what they consider their strength, probably.
They certainly can throw the peels. They may not be playing the shots to move a ton of rocks, but they can throw that peel weight. So this is out a little wider than all the other shots. It'd be the other reason I'd be worried about playing a draw here, because it's wider and fresh.
It looks the line
territory.
Line looks pretty good. It's coming hard there now. If you have that sweeping weight.
No, it's cutting really hard now at the end. And it looked great for line, and just didn't quite get it by that front one. Not enough weight to get it to the tee line.
He didn't seem to be panicking on that. I think they thought it had lots of weight. Really,
and Richard probably did. He probably kicked out with a fair amount, knowing that it was a bit fresh, and that's what happens.
You can see that when they're finishing, the weight's coming off hard as they're finishing.
So this is a little run back, trying to remove that blue from shot stone position. Short run back, yellow on the blue, on a yellow on the blue.
Line looks good.
And there you can see yellow is now shot, and the lineup is not as great.
Not favorable to blue anymore, I don't think.
Well, you can
play
you
blue,
can remove
yellow,
the yellow, but your blue is going to stay in the 12 foot, and a couple yellows out front. It's definitely there. The shot Doug's calling with a short run back. It's just not as ideally angled to leave the blue in a good position. This is that similar short run back from Richard. He used to fly down the sheet behind his rock. Just hit a little thin, disturbed the angles, so now it's just yellows out front, and yellow is shot. So a bit of a change there. Change the dynamic of things. There is a short little tap on the
Kendall's
yellow.
Looking hard at whether he goes a short tap or whether he draws.
The draw is tough because the center guard's pretty tight to the rings, and I don't think you're getting a ton of finish in that spot.
chat about this.
So they're going for the tap, I think. Bryce will have a chat. I just don't see a ton of benefit in throwing the draw. If you don't bury it, you're leaving the other team a shot around the center guard. This is, I think, a good way to get a
They've
stone
seen
buried.
a lot of rocks come down this path, this end. So they should know the ice.
Yeah, I think you can throw a fair amount of weight, know that it'll still finish. Control it with sweeping. And this is Bryce's first of mate stones. So tap to the 4 foot, I would think. We're going to try and throw back 4 weight in order to get that movement.
You need that front end to move so we can see.
Yeah, those players just keep getting in the way. Now they are finishing here.
The
Looks
line
good.
is nice. The line is very nice.
Still waiting for it a little bit. Looks maybe a little heavy. Oh, that just ground right down. So
Good.
it actually does sit too. Almost came up to nose on that, Marion,
I'm
didn't it?
surprised that they weren't sweeping that. The line looked real nice. Like they could have been sweeping it from the hog line in.
High sided a bit more and pop it to the 4 foot, but I think it's a good result overall. Doug's got to either do some major cleanup or put a really good stone in the 4 foot, and I don't think he's ready to draw just yet.
So is he calling to run the yellow?
Yeah,
blue?
the center yellow into blue would be a good result in terms of removing one of the shot yellow stones and leaving a blue out front. I think you'd probably like to keep things a little more clean and maybe roll the shooter away and not leave it out. That ended up pretty well for him, I think.
Yeah, not too bad. The yellow's open there. You could.
Yellow still sits shot. It's open, but now the draw is open for the Thompson rank. So the draw is the call here. They can get it to top 4 foot, I think. This draw was blocked before by a stone in the top 8 foot, but that's just been removed from Shea Steele.
I really can't see a lot from my position anymore. They're on the 5th end break and the sheet next to us, so there's a lot of bodies. So I'll just stay quiet, and you can see then.
All the other sheets have finished their 5th end, but we're still playing. We just like to savor the moment on sheet D. I'm pretty sure Kendall just throw that rock?
For me?
Did Kendall just throw that rock? I think we're still on 3rd stones. It looked like Kendall was throwing and Bryce was in the house.
No.
I think so, because Bryce was in the house holding the broom. Pretty sure he just threw the wrong rock.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I don't know if either team has noticed. I think Michael noticed.
I think there's a lot of talk going on down there, so I think they've noticed. There was 3 yellows.
Oh yeah, they all
between
noticed.
the front end should have noticed that if they take out his rock, that there was still 3 rocks there.
Oh Lord, Dougie's just calling the shot. I don't know what happens.
Well, what happens
Does it get removed? He threw out of order.
No, he throws it, and then Bryce has to throw the last one, I think.
Oh, he has to throw 2 in a row.
I think he has to throw 2 in a row, and then Bryce will have to throw the last one.
Oops.
Pretty sure it's been a while since I read that in the rule book, but I'm pretty sure that's how that goes. Yeah, you don't change the play. So.
everyone's still entitled to their 2 stones. You just have to make sure you throw them in the right order.
I think the front end's down there trying to defend themselves. I don't know. Could be some chatter about this after the game.
All right, so it's a run back here. Oh, and just misses the yellow. So yellow remains shot. I think it's partly visible, but only about a half rock. And then we have the one that, yeah, they're talking to Julie.
Yeah, they're checking with they're just checking with the official to make sure they do it right. Yeah.
Oops. So there
Michael Brophy's is laughing. He must not have been the one that put the rock out. Chris McRae seems more upset about it, so maybe he was the one. I couldn't see anything. This was the shot that I wasn't seeing anything. It was barcaded. That's.
Oh well, no harm.
Well, it's always good to have a story from a game.
But what they're looking at here is there is a raise on yellow blue in order for the MacKenzie bluestone to remove the Shaw yellow and stick around. I don't think there's a really good way to defend against that. If you raise anything onto the yellow, you're probably tapping it back onto your own. So we'll just have a draw on that same outturn side of the sheet. Bryce will get a chance to throw last rock here. This is the 5th end. He did throw last rocks for qualifiers.
Exactly,
so
exactly. He got that practice a couple weeks ago. Line looks good here.
I'm trying to go around the top one, I think. Tap wouldn't be the end of the world.
They're
working hard to get it by. So they will make contact. It opens up the draw path a little bit, but Doug may go for that short little run too.
Or the
he's
double.
Got a double, yeah. Double looks pretty natural, doesn't it? A little flat, but it's there.
Hit and roll rolls there as well. See, both teams have used a lot of time in this end. They're both down under the 20-minute mark. They're not at their half yet, but not ideal, like I say, to go at the 5th end break.
Yeah, they both have their 2 timeouts, but like I was saying, yeah, you don't want to be too much under that 19 minutes, and that's where they both are. So they'll probably try and play the 6th end a little quicker.
A scoring update while they're discussing what they're going to do here. Murphy team scored 2 in 5, so they're up 5-2 on Team Ouellette. And Team Fitzner-LeBlanc scored 2 in 5, so scores 6-2 Thompson over Ouellette. And Brett McDougall get on the board with 1 in 5. Score is Stevens for McDougall 1. Okay, the decision was to play the tap.
Is it? Yeah, is it the tap? It must be. Yeah. So
I'm thinking that he's playing the tap.
I don't think Doug would be hitting the half visible stone and losing the shooter. So this is tap weight up just to sit 1. Probably not going to get a blank here, so I'm trying to generate a way to get a point or 2. I was thinking they might go pretty hard for the blank, but then we saw lots of rocks in play. Soft weight hit.
That turned out quite nice. That is lining up all the angles.
Yeah, I think if you raise blue onto yellow, they're wondering if they're overlapped enough that the yellow will go back onto the shot blue stone. I'm not sure that it will. Suppose it's worth a shot because blue will be sitting 2. or won't have a chance to use the raised rock as a scoring point. There'll still be 2 yellows in. So they're thinking they'll go back, get a bit of a redirect here.
Has to curl. Okay, Marty. Yep. Try to get over here so the heel is.
It's going to have to be a fair amount of weight because there's going to be some momentum coming off, hitting this on an angle and then with the redirect.
Well, see where his broom is. I think it's going to be a fair bit of weight.
For the first time, probably only time this game, Bryce Everest throwing last rock here. or this team's last rock. There is one more for Team MacKenzie. Trying to raise. And
that's a nice shot.
They could see the angles better than we could.
Yeah, certainly we don't have the best vantage for angles. We're at ice level, not on the second level.
So it's a draw for 1 here for Doug, but they're just wondering if maybe they play the hit and roll. They've called this straight draw a few times now, so I think Doug would
and
be
they played
with
this
the
line
ice.
quite a bit, so I think play into his strength to play the draw. See, now they're so worried about it, they're not even putting Doug's rock out because they're scared to put the wrong rock out.
Oh, man. What a fifth head.
Meanwhile, the clock's going tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, they were the slowest team. All the other teams were playing the 6th end now, done their 5th end break, so we'll have our break here in a few short
We'll
seconds.
have to give Richard the gears for standing around not getting the rock out.
The draw for 1 here, Doug MacKenzie in 5.
He's out there. I don't think line is going to be an issue. Well, it could be an issue that it doesn't curl. There's a fine line here where they're out and they stay out.
You had the draw for 1 here in an earlier end. So this one looks to be good.
Looks good.
Or sorry, it was a draw for 3 and he made
Yeah, great shot.
So that one
Very
sticks
nice.
around. So we were tied, but now MacKenzie will lead 4-3 after 5. And we will catch you back here at the Deloitte Tankard in a few minutes.
Trying to run it in? 12. Come line, Mr. Chase. Top 12.
Well, folks, welcome back. We're at the sixth end of our game. Team Doug MacKenzie playing Kendall Thompson. My name is Mary McCauley. If you're just joining us, and with me is Selena Thompson. We had a really interesting first 5 ends. To say at the first of the game, I felt like the Thompson team had a little momentum going, and then we had a switch in the third end, and it's just been a real back and forth ever since. So very interesting for those of you watching, and interesting for us commentating. And we're still having a few giggles over the last end, and we saw the players having lots of chatter about it. We had, if you weren't tuned in then, but the team played their rocks out of order, and so once you do that, you have to keep going in that order, and then whoever skipped throwing one rock has to throw the last one.
Yeah, it was a learning experience. I said to you, Mary, I said, I don't even know what happens here. But you're more well-versed in the rules of play than me, aren't you?
Well, probably just a situation of being in the situation one time. It's been a while, but I do remember that happening before. I think that rule's changed for a long time. I think it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's not a new thing that could happen. So if you are just joining us here at the 2019 Deloitte Tankard, the Men's Provincial Curling Championships, we are featuring on sheet D, Team Doug MacKenzie. And from lead to skip, that's Jared Brown, Richard Barker, Shea Steele, and Doug MacKenzie taking on Team Thompson, Team K Thompson, I should say. There are 2 Thompsons playing in this tournament. And from lead to skip, that's Michael Brophy, Chris McRae, Bryce Everest, and skip Kendall Thompson. And so Team MacKenzie with a 1-point lead after 5. They're leading 4-3. Team Thompson has the hammer. And we've seen this setup before.
We have
rock
seen
in
this.
The rings, a corner guard, a center guard, and then a come around the corner. So
Now, this is different. With the last time we played in 4 coming this way, we had a very similar setup, but Doug chose to come in the other way. This time he's coming
intern side.
It sure looks like it's curling. A little bit of curl and a little bit of light. The lightness causes the curl.
Yeah, so the center guards aren't doing their job. They're not lined up.
So I think so Kendall does have last rock, so we are at second stone, so Chris McRae can peel the 5 rock rule. That's the rule of thumb.
He can peel. I think that Kendall's worried if he hits the blue stone, the blue guard high side and doubles, it might go back onto their own yellow.
He's looked pretty hard at those angles.
I still like peeling one of the front ones. It's a great opportunity to peel, even if you do run the risk of hitting it on. But if you leave your shooter out front and you still have that corner guard, I think it's a good result.
I think he kind of got the body language from the front end that they wanted to peel. Nobody was getting in the hat quick for
for the come around. Yeah. No, it's a good
this
chance
a good
to
call.
just play with that 5 rock rule and still have your corner guard, and you can remove both guards. Although they only did get the one, but now the risk of running anything back onto their own is gone. So for Team MacKenzie, they don't have too much to think about. They're just playing up that center line, but Doug will be well aware that there is that corner guard and that yellow stone in behind. If they're not minding the situation in the center, they may play a hit on that. But for now, they're just happy to continue putting stones up front. Although this one, again, over curling and wrecking. Now that's opening up that shot stone. So here's where the patience of playing the peel pays off. They did get a miss out of the other team, and
that's a good point, Selena. Like sometimes we panic early and think you need to keep going in, and patience can pay off. Clear off the front, and there's not a perfect shot made to get your opportunity.
Nice chance here for Chris McRae to remove the blue stone and sit 2. Pretty early in the end here. Like to make a little bit of a roll, kind of protect that thrown stone, and they do roll. Maybe not fully buried, but enough that gives them a good chance to kind of have something on their next. We're on the 3rd stones now.
Oh, are we on the 3rd stone? No, I'm just kidding.
Unless they're throwing them out of order again.
This is Shea Steele delivering here.
I was confused in the last end because I thought it was Kendall throwing, but that Kendall and Bryce have similar hairlines, so I was like double checking before I said that they threw the wrong stone.
I think you caught on before anybody did.
And this one from
is
Shea
curling.
is over, curling again. That made things a little worse for the MacKenzie team.
It did.
It's going to be hard to get around. There are those 2 blue guards out front, and there's also a high yellow guard. So for Team Thompson, I think it's just as straightforward as playing a draw around the center.
Those blue rocks, though, are not too far off the ring, so they will be there for a run back.
We've seen a few run backs this game from both teams. Some really nice ones made.
They're calling the sweep pretty early from line here, I think, because it looks like it's got lots of weight.
Asking this one to stop.
It digs in once it gets in. Top
That
4.
was pretty close to that
It
guard,
was.
wasn't it?
That's been a couple times. They have very good. I see the body language with Kendall is maybe he didn't think it was going to be quite that tight.
Yeah.
I see Stuart Thompson scored 1 and 6, so score 7-2 for Thompson over Fitzner LeBlanc. And I couldn't help but notice that one of the teams on that sheet still has over 20 minutes, and they're playing the 7th end, and we're in the 6th end, and we're down in the 15.
Don't worry,
zone.
it's Fitzner with the extra time, and oh yeah, Fitzner has all the time. I was going to say there's a big difference on that sheet because Stuart is not a fast caller of a game. They have lots of team discussions, so that leads to the big discrepancy in time between the two teams.
Oh.
And there was a hole there, believe it or not.
There was a hole, and there was one more rotation, and there was a double. But
oh my goodness!
Looks like Kendall's going to call for Bryce to come right in on top of play the exact same shot he just played.
That is frustrating because you know how close you were to making your shot perfectly, and it just curled up a hair too much. This looks like a little. Bryce is throwing the second stone here.
He is.
So we're all
yeah,
good.
we got it right this time.
This one is curling.
This one is curling
now.
again. Yeah. Not quite as tight as the last time. Weight looks very similar. It's always a great feeling to get asked to play the same shot, and basically he threw the same shot.
Yeah, I think they corrected the line a little bit, maybe took a little bit extra broom. Ended up in a similar position, only a rock and a half lighter.
Good judging by the front end. Should give the front end some credit as well. It's always those shots can be made or break by the front end's ability to judge the weight as well. So, does it look like Doug's going to run that back to?
Yeah, he doesn't have much of.
No, he's got himself
a chance
in
there, or much of an option, really. So running the center blue. Love to stuff that blue right back on the nose, and that'll outcount at least one of the yellows. And hopefully make a double on the two in the top 8, top 4 area. This is Doug MacKenzie.
Looks like he needs to go. Snug from my angle.
So that one's over curl, so they'll let it go. It's not going to make contact, but it does open things up. So it's not often you see the team with hammer throwing up a center guard, but we might.
He's
might
considering a draw here as well, though. Timeout. We have our first timeout on our sheet.
Yeah, good, good thinking. They've saved a little bit of time this end, but they're still a little short. And we'll wait for their 5th player to come on out, Matt Manuel.
Timeout was called on sheet E as well. I noticed that Stevens called a timeout there. They look like they have a fairly tricky last shot. Yellow is sitting 2 on them, and Chad Stevens is in the hat. See what he can do with that situation.
So the thinking here is if you put up a center guard, Doug can draw and take away a lot of the yellow counters. Drawing in, of course, you leave a double on the yellows, but then you just have a nose hit for a pile. 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's hard to guard that double and guard the draw to the one that.
Michael's kind of indicating a top 12 position. If Doug were to make the double and roll behind it, I think if you're coming into the rings, you have to be a little deeper. You have to be the 8 foot, and I don't think you leave a triple to make the double on the top 2 yellows.
Kendall's
you can't
even
really roll your shooter.
I think what Kendall might have just called is that he'd like to come in and freeze right there, and if the curl's off a little bit, then try to separate them like.
And in this case, I suspected he would have thrown the guard, but now that I'm thinking about it, of course, talking it through, you leave the guard and you kind of force Doug to play that draw.
You do, and he makes it. Then he takes basically this end away on you.
So keeping the rocks in the rings is the play here, and trying to settle this one right on top of the side forefoot. I think the key is not to leave this too high in the rings as a guard for something that Doug could play. So going for 8 foot or better.
Just to curl a bit.
Calling back 4 for weight. Still needs to curl and might get a ricochet off the top yellow. Oh, just got by. So does it leave a big weight shot here, though? Did it go too deep, Marianne? Big weight on the yellow, and can you get all 4 of those yellows moving? I can't read lips, but I'm pretty sure Kendall just said, oh, the worst spot. I would agree. So imagine nosing that top yellow.
See, and if you nose it, that I can see 3 going. I don't.
Yeah, the one in the center, like that's biting the button,
I don't
might
see
stick
that.
around.
Yeah, I don't see that one.
You got to throw enough weight to be able to get the momentum to have all those move, but you just got to throw a bunch of weight at that top one, really.
Don't have an awful lot of choice unless you want to play exactly what he just played, which I think is what he's going to do. I think he's going to come down and he's going to just sit, unless I'm completely wrong, he's playing the ice for that, but I think he's playing to follow Kendall down.
I think so
and
too.
sit just a little tap freeze sort of thing. And even if he's dead frozen to the one that Kendall just threw, I think he'll be number 2.
Yeah, you could move it a little bit too.
And he moved a little bit, he could be number 1.
The only risk is being a little bit extra heavy, knowing that you can be heavy and bump and ricocheting off a top one and rolling. That's the risk that I see here. Up 1, but looking at 5 here on his last shot with 1 to come from Kendall. So we'll see if Doug can nestle one in that yellow line of stones in that 4-foot area.
I like the line. Weight looks pretty good.
Waiting for it to curl.
Sort of very similar to looks like number 2 to me.
Yeah, yellow is shot in the back button.
You may be forced to just tap that yellow at the top button and be satisfied with 2. Although when you have that many yellow rocks in play.
Wouldn't it be lovely to get more? And they don't have the benefit of time here.
You know, that
really,
that was the call for Doug MacKenzie. That's his.
Soft weight is his bread and butter. They're just looking at the angles to see if you ever were to tap that yellow, does it go? Can it tap the blue over? I think it's pretty risky though that you hit your own and give up a steal of 1.
I personally think he should play the tap and take his 2 points. Nope, that's not what they're doing.
I know what
the women would do.
If you nose or low side, just ever so low side this yellow stone, you can squirt the blue out the side.
Yeah, sideways, yeah. There's going to be some heat coming in this. I think. There's going to be some heat coming.
So he can be a little snug on this, on the center line side. Sweepers will keep it out.
I can't see the sweepers. The players are in my way, so I can't see this one coming.
They're going hard for line, so it looks like it's crossing the nose now. They got to keep it. And it looks good enough for the 2, maybe 3. I think 2 for sure. Pretty close to getting more, but good effort. Probably isn't super happy with the result given the number of yellow stones in the rings. But
I was actually wondering if
might
put a measure on this. I couldn't see it very well, but I thought maybe did they need to be sweeping that? Did it?
It over
okay,
curled.
It was over curled. Yeah. Okay. So they're calling for a measure. They're looking for an official. Here comes pay attention.
So it was at least 2 there. So when we left the 5th end, it was 4-3 for MacKenzie. So Team Thompson has at least taken the lead by a single point, and we're doing the measure for perhaps the second. I haven't seen a measure in another game, and this is the second one in this game.
Team.
So I'm not sure if it's the same or if we'll have to remeasure and double check. I don't think everyone's agreed on.
I think they're looking for him to go get the stick.
They're not loving the laser, huh?
They were, I know in the juniors, the way that they handle it from an officiating standpoint is they use the laser, but at any time a team felt they would prefer the stick, they had the option to request it. So.
That is what's happening here.
Well, they're getting the measuring stick, an update on sheet E. Team McDougall stole 2 and 6, so that tightened that game up to 4-3, Stevens over McDougall. In sheet C, we're down to Skip Rocks with score being 6-2 for Murphy, and it looks like he's got some yellow rocks in play there. Oh, and I think we have handshakes on sheet B just at this moment. Stuart Thompson gets a W in his first game. Giving each other some hand fist pumps and happy with the win. And Fitzner LeBlanc will have a loss in their first game. Okay, now back to our measure. It is very, very, very close. Because the stick is hitting both. And
looks like
still
Shay's indicating blue.
Yeah, but it was very close. That stick was hitting the yellow quite a bit, so it was a very close measure.
What an exciting game. So I think it'll be 2. So 2 for Team Thompson. So they'll have a 5-4 lead over MacKenzie. And Team MacKenzie will have the hammer here in the 7th.
You know, I think it's okay that they call for that. You know, the players may need to do that a few times to get the confidence in the laser.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. You're so used to putting the stick. I've never used the laser either, and so if it's the first time you're seeing it used in competition play,
yeah, it's a big game. It's a close game, and. Score is 5-4 for Thompson. 1 into 7. Both teams are down around the 13-minute mark. Still lots of time, but not time for too much discussion.
No, they're both pretty tight. We've got about 19 or can't count, 21 seconds difference between the two teams at this point. Team Thompson's used 1 timeout. Team MacKenzie has not used one, so they have the benefit of that.
Nice looking come around here. I don't know where the weight is, but the line's really nice. A little short, but. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the Deloitte Tankard for 2019. Happy to acknowledge our major sponsor for the men's provincials, Deloitte. The winner of this championship will go on to the Brier March 2nd to 10th in Brandon, Manitoba. And thank you to our streaming partner, 360 Live. And thanks, a shout out to all the volunteers, the ice crew, the timers, the officials. There's a lot of people it takes to put on an event like this, and big shout out to the Dartmouth Curling Club and all the people they've recruited to support this event.
The Dartmouth Curling Club has a pretty healthy volunteer base, I think, and it's nice to see everybody out. And Lots of people watching as well, including those of you at home. I know we got a couple people watching, got a couple messages coming in saying thanks. So thanks, Marion, for joining me. Or I guess I was joining you.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy there's two of us. It's a long day after being at work all day, and I was thinking if I was by myself, it's kind of hard. Plus, I tend to like to look around, see what's going on in the other game. So. The one job that you can never do that is when you're a timer.
No, and I did my first timing in December at the junior provincials, and I was trying so hard because I know it can be distracting, and luckily they keep the timers separate in kind of a quiet area. And it's so hard because you're trying to watch the game and then I didn't hit the button.
No, it's a very intense volunteer. I think people probably don't appreciate it that haven't done it, but it takes a lot of concentration. So.
And it gets ever so important. If the teams are playing quickly and there's lots of time, or it's a game where it's probably not going to make the full 10 ends, so you maybe not worried as much. But in a game like ours, where the times are drastically close, and definitely it's going to come down to the clock at some point here, it's very important to be careful.
So we have an interesting end going here.
Yeah, we had another nice series of come-arounds. We've been seeing that a few ends now.
Blue's got hammer. And they have one in position there, but
it's hard to tell who shot stone. It might be the yellow at the back.
I think it's the yellow that's at the back, but.
So Team Thompson happy to continue guarding. They feel like, at this point, we're okay giving up a single, having hammer in 8.
So that one curled just a little more than I think he wanted. Looks like Team MacKenzie might decide to take this opportunity to move that yellow combination, yellow-blue-yellow combination. With a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I don't think Richard will keep the shooter around. I'd be a little worried here with hammer. This call kind of removes
it looked like it floated out a little bit.
It did, yeah. And this removes, I think, the ability to blank. Oh, he just got enough of it. So there's 2 blues in good position now. Wow, that just came up at the end, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But you do have the draw available now. They're looking at the run on the yellow-blue combination. Could freeze in there again. We're on to third stones now.
Bryce is coming with some heat here.
Looks like it's going to curl up a bit too much, but did get the front blue. So the shot stone is exposed, although there is a corner guard now. And I think we'll see hit and roll.
Or I think actually Doug will go for the come around. I think he's. Or is he
did he change the come around? I like the hit and roll. I think that yellow is in a spot that would outcount a lot of blue stones. So good to get rid of it.
This is curling. This is curling. He might pick his own. No?
I was worried there was a hole there. He did remove his own. Didn't get the yellow out of play, so that really overcurled.
I think he got that going. I think they were. The sweep call was on right out of his hand.
And that center line area we've seen a few times is pretty unforgiving. A lot of rocks taking off. We've seen not as much on hits, but on draws, just really cutting around that center line.
Like we were saying earlier, that's the in turn, so tends to be the one that gets going sometimes.
A little less complicated for Team Thompson here. It's an open hit for Bryce. Love to stick a shooter around. They do have one yellow on the side and one in the back. I don't know if that back one's in the rings. It's certainly still in play. So now there's a corner guard there. Be interested. Doug
is going around it.
Calling for the come around. He could make a hit and try and blank out this end, but with that corner guard there, he seems to want to go for it. And maybe now a change.
Did he change his mind? He changed his mind.
I think so, yeah. I like this. I think it's for morale, you know, to be down 1 with playing 8, so try and blank this end.
This looks like it's curling again, is it?
Yeah, they were looking for a roll. It's going to go in behind through that hole. So Kendall's not going to take too long to make this call. Really good chance here with that rollout to come around the guard and force the issue.
Yeah, and he probably
force
doesn't
into
care
one.
if he even gets to all the way the 4 foot full 8.
No, getting it
bucket
partly
is
buried
yeah.
is important.
I see one of the teams out here is sponsored by Norex. Do you think they use that Norex product? Like,
I happen to know that one of the wives of one of the players is a Norwex rep, so I'm gonna
shoot,
guess.
I was hoping it was because the men just were so enthralled with the product. This is a good looking come around. He's got.
Maybe they put the cleaning cloths on the ends of their brooms. That's an illegal sweeping device, though.
So just like you had called it, Selena, that's partially buried.
Yeah, a pretty good result there. It's deep enough that it's hard for Doug to draw around, so he's going to have to play a soft weight hit on it. Hopefully roll the shooter. He can't roll the shooter under the guard, so he's going to try and roll shooter in front of the other yellow stone in the back 8 foot.
A little update from our other sheets. I see Stevens' team picked up 3 and 7. Scores now 7-3 for Stevens over McDougall. And I believe that Murphy scored in 7 as well. So the score is Murphy 7 and Roulette 2. I think we've got the barn burner.
We do. And if you are catching us online, we have coverage on sheets C and D. So if you're looking online and your teams are playing on sheets C and D, you'll have coverage, and you can click the link to view on Bell TV 1, courtesy of our streaming partner 360 Live. And we very much appreciate you watching. You can see the schedule. All the games are set. It's round robin, so the schedule on the men's and women's provincials on nscurl.com is set, and you can see when your team is playing and catch them here at the club or online.
The draws are set for the week at 9, 2, and 7. We have a slightly different draw this year so that we have these 2 games today, so that we have no 4 game days. They're all 9, 2, and 7 until we get to the weekend. So alternating. So 9 a.m. tomorrow morning will be the ladies again, and then the men in the afternoon and the women in the evening.
It's a busy week here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. It's very nice to be hosting both provincial championships under one roof. We've done for the past few years.
It's a big commitment for the curlers to give up their ice for a week, so thank you to the players, for the members of the Dartmouth Curling Club with being okay with this, and plus they're not getting to curl, and many of them are volunteering.
So Kendall Stone rolled out there. So for Doug now, last stone, he's got a little bit of a tough decision here. We mentioned that yellow stone at the back might be a biter. It looked like both teams, or at least the MacKenzie rink, was taking a look to see if that's in the rings. If it is, it makes it much harder to blank. If not, I think Doug would just peel out that one in the back 8 foot. But a bit of a tough decision here. He might have to play it safe and take a single.
And meanwhile, the clock's down to 10:18. Can you tell that I'm a time warrior? I like was playing front end for the team. I'd be saying, "Come on."
And that is
3 ends left.
The front end's responsibility typically, is to remind your back end that you got to make a decision.
Three ends left to play, and I know you can play them quickly, but this is a tight game, and you want to leave yourself enough time to be able to
Yeah, they've got 3 minutes and end at this point, plus 2 timeouts. This MacKenzie
That's right.
team.
They haven't taken a timeout yet. So it looks like the decision was a
Draw, I think, or maybe this it was a draw, and they've since switched it up to the hit. It does look like that backstone is in, but it's not easy for us to tell from the overheads.
He's playing a soft hit here.
Yeah, just looking for the nose, I think. You could get a blank out of it if the shooter rolls out and he makes the double.
Oh,
So
so close. That was so close to being a fantastic shot.
We'll never know if that back one was in because it is a score of 1 for Doug MacKenzie. So that'll tie things up at 5 apiece here after 7 ends and draw 1 of the 2019 Deloitte Tankard, the Nova Scotia Men's Provincial Curling Championships. Thank you for joining us. In case you didn't catch, I'm Selena Thompson and I am joined by Marion McCauley, and we're having a fun game
Yeah,
here.
we are having a fun game.
MacKenzie Thompson game.
And if anybody didn't catch the afternoon results for the women, I can run through those results. Colleen Jones was the winner over Mary Driscoll, and Marianne Arsenault was a win over Teresa Breen. Jill Brothers had a win over Tanya Hilliard, and Kristen McDermott had a win over Julia McAvoy. And they're back on the ice tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. A little while ago, gave a little update from the Canadian Juniors. The Canadian Juniors are on in Saskatchewan. I just can't remember right now whereabouts in Saskatchewan they are, but both our boys and girls are at 3-1, so they're all off to a great start. So wish lots of luck and good curling to Team Jones and Team Wiggle, and hopefully they'll be there at the end of the week. Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and I knew that. I played Prince Albert myself once in a Canadian mixed. And yeah, the winner of that juniors for the both the men's and women will play their worlds here in Nova Scotia at Liverpool in February, so that's very exciting. We have the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, and will be in Sydney, and the World Juniors will be in Liverpool, so that's
it's a big year for
It's a
Nova
big
Scotia.
year.
And as everyone listening and watching knows, we love hosting curling championships. We have a good volunteer base
Yes,
here, and
we do.
a lot of curling fans in Nova Scotia. So we're so excited for that.
We hosted one of the slams in Truro this year. It's my home club, and the players are very complimentary. Gave a lot of feedback to the volunteers and said they really enjoyed playing. And
so 8th end, we've seen this setup before. I feel like a broken
Groundhog Day.
record. Rocking the rings, corner guard, guard up front, and then the come around.
And it's interesting that the corner has been on the same side every time coming this way. So obviously Kendall knows something about the ice, and or maybe it's his player as well. Play into their strength of. And here we go again. Now the last time we played down this way, Richard had a little trouble here. He didn't get by the front guard. He was a little light.
Yeah, it set up that staggered guard situation.
Looks like we might be.
This one's lighter, so it's an offset center guard. Didn't quite make it to the center line. And we are past the 5th rock, so if Chris wanted to peel things out, he could. It's lined up in a way that actually would work fairly well. Just peel the front one, maybe roll your shooter over to another corner guard.
Oh, if you can. We can't.
In the previous end, in the 6th end, Kendall was worried about running something back on his stone in the rings. I think a little less worried now. They'd be happy to score here in 8. Of course, 2 would be great. This one's coming in with some heat, so it'll just hit the high side, and Not do much there. Peels the one guard. They would love to get the second one moving too.
Just caught a corner of my eye. Nice shot by Jamie Murphy on the sheet next to our feature sheet. Sitting in 3 right now, and Team Ouellette trying to figure out how they're going to score.
A little bit better line from Richard, but the weight wasn't quite as light and comes a little deep. It's so hard to make those guards perfectly.
Chris gets to play the peel again. The away this time. Throws a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's played a few peels this game. Oh. That's pretty unlucky.
That didn't quite work out as they had hoped.
Jammed on your back 12-foot stone and leaves the shooter out front and one of the blue guards out front. That one just curled up a little too much.
So now Shea Steele is trying to draw around here. And it's curling. So lots of weight. I'd be a little disappointed with that. I'd like to have had that rock stay a little higher in the house. With that, it allows Kendall to say, okay, he'll come in and sets up a jam in the back if MacKenzie team gets a play on it. Bryce and Kendall played mixed together last year and had success at the Canadian Championships. And they were silver medalists.
They were, yeah, made the final. This one looks a little heavy. Kendall skipped Bryce through second, and along with Carly Jones and Marie Christensen, had a really successful run.
So, rock was heavy.
Yeah.
It's not taken MacKenzie team too long to make their decisions here. I notice the players are in the hack ready to go, so I think they're becoming conscious of trying to a little bit of catch-up time. They haven't used much time in this end.
And the pressure's on here. 2 blue stones and trying to put a third one in the rings here. Although this one is curling.
Looks like it's curling.
Kendall may have the same shot again there for Bryce. So they're going to be going for it with this, though. If they're not peeling the front, they're going to score here. Speakers aren't touching this one
no,
either.
they're not touching this one either.
I wonder if it's just getting slick there.
I think it's going to be number 1. It just didn't quite grab the...
Yeah, they would have loved that. Bryce would have loved that to be a few feet higher, would have got a bit more finish. Puck's not following it down, which is a bit surprising. You could see the path, and he's having to take a new path here on this side of the sheet. I haven't noticed that he loves his intern more than anything, but could be the reason for it.
They have thrown quite a few down here, though, that had very, very nice finish. It's nice to see on almost all the sheets tonight there was a lot of rocks in play. It's a sign of there's good conditions for play. Yeah, I think there's a steal over on sheet E in the handshakes. So a W for Team Stevens, Team McDougall.
Doug Stone coming down here. This one's hanging wide, isn't it?
It is.
Get by the front.
Doug's making all kinds of body language.
So Bryce will work on this one. Right stop for shot, Stone there. Just stops for shot.
There's the Thompson team to come right in there.
Yeah, they'll follow it down. You could nudge it a tiny little bit. I don't think Kendall wants to come down to it, though. If he stays top 4-foot shot, it'd be pretty ideal.
Team Olet did find a way to score. I didn't see that.
He had a hit against 4. Everything was in the 4-foots, and just made a little hit and roll. Stuck right on the button for a single there for Kevin Ouellette. This one's curling here from Kendall. They're looking just for the straight draw, though. And it's by. Looks like it's deep enough to go back onto the back, so they may as well bump it and sit 2, and they do.
Whoa. Flying brooms.
So Doug's on his last shot here. He really has to put one in the 4-foot. Come down the same path he just threw. He could really take the end away from Kendall if he's
perfect freeze and
puts it in there.
And he just threw it, and he had the weight. He just didn't quite get the curl, so. Looks like he's got the weight again. That looks like lots of weight to me. Oh, it is on. It picked. It picked completely. It's disappointing for a team, frustrating. They've had such a good game. Team Thompson's cleaning up that ice.
Especially 8th end, and you're looking at potentially stealing in a tie game.
So important to clean the line. These rocks are going down. So this is a draw for 3.
It's the same shot that Kendall just threw. And you can come down to the backing on his own stone.
He has to curl a bit.
Sweepers seem to want to go for it, but the line's
it looks
folding.
like enough weight to me, and that'll be 3.
So that'll take our score from tie game to 8-5 for the Thompson rink. How are we looking for time, Mary? You're the one watching the time clocks.
They did a great job of on the clocks on that end. Team Thompson still has 8 minutes and 34. So they have over 4 minutes for each end. And the MacKenzie team is 7. Yeah, they did.
Half,
they did. And the MacKenzie team made a lot of time as well. They're at 7:26 with 2 time on plus. So no worries about time.
Smooth sailing.
You can tell the MacKenzie team's still pretty disappointed over that. It's hard to.
It's so frustrating.
It's so
if it happened on any other rock other than your skips last, you can deal with it a little better. You do have to shake it off, and
they really did have a great
never
opportunity.
Fair. Yeah.
It's a nice rock to the. Slipped a little bit deep, but not bad. Important thing is to have that rock in the 4-foot area. And Gets a bit up the corner guard, a little long. I think I've seen that a little bit tighter.
This looks like the opposite setup we've
Yeah.
had the other ends, so we're playing it in an odd end.
And we're coming right in on top of this one.
Yeah, like
The
this one
top four.
needs to curl a bit though. It's not quite coming up. Gonna get it to that center line. Looks like it'll freeze right on top. Oh, it just comes up enough. Now there's the second corner guard, so not a come around in this case from Jared.
Players are still, looking at that spot where that pick was.
Yeah, well, Kendall threw across the same path on his last one, so I don't know if anything happened there. So here's another rock being placed on their line.
It needs to curl a little bit to guard those rocks.
And this is really where you see that 5 rock rule come into play. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but you do have those 2 corner guards, and Team Thompson cannot peel, so they're just putting another one in the rings, and that's very typical of play. So you can see the issue now becomes your team that's down. You have 2 corner guards for Team MacKenzie, but you are well aware that you're going to have to deal with those stones up the center line.
But you start patiently and hit and roll behind the corner with one of these.
So this is just a soft weight, trying to get a roll behind the corner.
Oh, I think they might have left that too long.
Yeah, I think they were trying to roll on the other one, but then it just came up to nose. I don't think any of the yellows is out of play, but they are moved around. They're not on that center line anymore. The button is now open. So for Kendall, it's a decision. Do you peel, or are you going to expect the other team to try and use those guards? They still have a bit of work to do, and or do you hit the one that's in the rings? And his temptation is to hit the one in the rings. I just think that because the stones from the center line split to the sides of the forefoot, you're pushing toward those corner guards. So,
but it is a long corner guard.
yeah, they both are. So they're going for the peel on the one in the rings. The intent is for the shooter to be lost as well. Don't really want to jam this. And it gets away with it.
Yeah, and people might be watching thinking, was that the plan? But that definitely was the plan. They play in the scoreboard. They don't want any more extra rocks around.
So now that those 4-foot rocks are separated, now there's the chance to come around.
They don't have a good vantage point here to get by the guard by much.
They get by the guard. Yeah, it looks good. It's going to finish and be buried. Really good result. It's third shot, but that's the way it goes with these games. Now Kendall's looking at hitting the one in the rings. I think that's fully buried. I don't know if Bryce can see it. You can always hit the guard, though. Play it tight.
Play it tight. You do have to commit to the weight you're throwing, because sometimes you get the and or in your head.
Yeah, you play the primary shot, and the skip would have adjusted for that. Probably gave a little bit tight ice and hoped to sweep by. You have to throw enough weight that if you get the front one, your shooter rolls away, though. This looks like it's all over the front. So they'll roll that shooter over. Turns into a second corner guard, so Doug will use that.
I noticed that front end, Michael Brophy times those shots.
The hits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a player on my team that does as well, just to get a feel for what your team's doing, like the weight your team's throwing versus the other. Don't use it to judge weight, but just to see, you know, what they're throwing for hits versus us, because the sweeper's best vantage point is backline to hog. I'm the one in the house timing the hog to hog. I'll have to ask him if that's why he does it. The open stone, one being called to be hit here. The thing for Team Thompson throwing yellow, they will sit 3 after this. Unless they roll out. No, that one's going to roll in, sit 3. So Team MacKenzie will have to deal with those yellow stones. There is double on the 2 yellows, though. Nose double or on the center line side. Always keeping in mind they do have that stone in the back 12 foot. I'm sorry. I just
don't start yawning.
Whew. It's getting late. It's 10:30. That second yellow just rolled far enough. So yellow's still shot, but there are 2 blue. So Kendall can't ignore. And we are down to skip stones. So I think Ken will be looking for a little bit of a roll here. Would like to sit 2. Oses the stone and then Doug hits the yellow. Doug will sit 2. You're looking for a bit of a roll. Got to call the sweeping appropriately.
It's a nose.
So they do sit 2. Got that little bit of a roll, just enough to sit 2.
So another MacKenzie team's going to call the hit and roll behind the corner.
He won't sit 2, but if he hits and rolls, he will sit shot.
Thought he just called the other shot.
Yeah, so if he plays the hit and roll, Kendall could freeze down to it and take the end away. I still like the other call because it does bring in the option for scoring 3. Regardless of what shot's played, it has to be precise at this point. We're getting down to the end here. This is a hit and roll in front of the other yellow here for Doug. This one is tracking a bit though, isn't it?
It is. That spot has been like that all night.
He's hitting this outside. Get a jam at the back. Yellow still sits 1. And I don't know who's third. Blue is second at the back, but
looks like blue might
be the blue stone.
we have another final.
Really ignore it. Oh, do we on sheet C?
Sheet C. It's a win for the Murphy team. 3-time defending champion, Team Murphy.
So what was the end decision? Another draw?
I didn't
freeze
see.
Down,
I had
a
not
freeze
the
down
best
to the back
vantage
one?
point from where I'm sitting when we were playing the away.
And the handshake's on sheet C. So I think the call is on the come around. Sit 2. Force your opponent to a single. You don't want to leave a double.
Looks a little light to me, but
that is really curling. They got to be careful to get by the yellow guard and get this.
He probably actually would.
Into the 8-foot area.
Wow.
Just gets there.
Did.
Sits 2.
I thought the way that was curling, I thought do a great sweeping to get that by.
And I don't think it leaves a double. Be pretty flat to go under and hit the backside of the yellow that was just thrown. Might just be a hit for 1 for Doug MacKenzie. The front end players aren't down at the other end looking, but we have the cameras in here, so their front end was looking, going, "Is the double there?"
Oh, I couldn't tell what he was saying to you.
I think it's too flat.
Still have a few loyal fans out at ice level.
I know them.
Yeah, I think you know them.
Yes. 2 of the 3 are family, and one of them never cheers for us. All right, so Doug's going for it. Yeah, so you needed to hit that really flat to even have the chance to double. Hits nose, gets the 1.
It was important to score there, though. So
absolutely.
8-6 after 9. So Thompson's up 2, coming home with.
And they seem to have miraculously cured timing
Time
woes.
issues. Yes.
Both teams have been playing a little more quickly. And we are the lone game out on the ice right now. All the other finals. If you are watching online, get out tomorrow morning to see our draw 2 of the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. We will have live streaming for sheets C and D. That's Jones, McAvoy, and McDermott, McKetton, Driscoll. And you can catch all the scores for the other 2 games as well on nscurl.com. And that will be Hilliard versus Breen, former teammates, and Arsenault versus Brothers. So the guard goes up from Jared Brown. And the come around call here from Michael Brophy. They'd love to have this high in the rings. Don't really want it slipping deep, although it looks to me like it's sailing a little bit. We are in the 10th end, though. We're really in that slide path coming down.
Yeah, so you tend to give it a little bit more. Looks like he judged that very well.
Didn't get the finish. You mentioned that a couple times in that path in particular. Once it gets to the center line,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
finishing.
Once you get over towards center line, you get strong finish. But I think their plan here was to have the tight guard lined up right behind this guard, and I think we might have pulled the string.
Yeah, you really want that second guard, and it's so hard to make them perfect. I just think things are slowing down a little bit. Jared's first and high, so we could have given the second one a bit more. Another draw call to get us.
Line looks a little different on this one, but weight looks the same. I can find a sea well. Everybody's left the ice.
That's all we needed. Get all those other teams out of there.
It's a nice shot. Repeat your first shot.
So a bit of a waiting game. Team Thompson up 2 with hammer. They're just waiting to start peeling.
Rich Parker's going to this guard in nice and tight right behind the other one.
Yeah, and you really, I mean, they need to steal 2 points.
This
They
is
do
good.
need
This has got
to,
lots of weight.
They do need to keep these rocks in play. They are coming down a lot, though, Marion. I've thought a few of them are heavy, and then they really grind at the end. This one looks like it is coming into the rings. So we'll see the PL call.
That's why I like 8 ends better. it's the game isn't as long and the ice holds up better.
Or it doesn't have to hold up for as long, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Yeah, it is hard for the team that does need to get those points in the 10th end. But it happens.
Nice clean peel. MacKenzie team will continue to put up gear.
Yeah, they don't have much choice. Just got to put up a guard, and you do need a miss. You need the other team to make maybe a half shot or something. Give yourself a chance here. It's another peel here for Chris McRae. Working on this one to keep it going straight, lose the shooter. And it will roll out. Out of play on the side. What do you think Doug's going to call, guard?
I think one more guard. He's soon going to have to make a move at some of this in the house, though. He has to steal 2. You have to start rattling them around.
Yeah, it's actually set up if you can make an outturn come around that whole situation. It might be. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of space to do it, but there is an overlap.
So he's out to the hog line to have a little chat with the front end about
what are we gonna do?
So it's to curl a little bit. It's okay. Good peel. Yep. Gonna bump those back a little bit.
You got to give yourself something that's not the guards aren't helping you anymore, and you're down to
You have to make
just
it
a few
complicated.
stones left. Yeah.
It's curling.
That one's just grabbed.
It did. That looked like a pick. His weight was perfect. Again, disappointing.
Similar path. to where
Very
the
similar
other one
path where the
picked
other one
to.
happened, yeah.
And it's not like a staggered lineup there, but I think you can just remove the back one.
I think Kendall will take the simple route. Don't need to do anything.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure this is necessary. Just hit the back.
But I'm sure Dougie McKenzie's happy to see the call,
Yeah,
hoping that something goes awry here in this.
exactly. I mean, it may be that the angles line up, you hit it, and it's not going to ricochet off the yellow. You probably do still remove the blue, but team likes this one though, so they're all down for it.
Kendall looks like he would have preferred the back.
Make sure you make contact with the blue. Squirts it out to the shot.
Kendall
but,
says, see, that's why we should have played the open one.
2 blues in play.
And you know, they're gonna make their shot here, and you know, we saw a couple picks and things can go was going to happen. So
All you ask for when we talk about trying to steal in the extra, so it wasn't a total miss, but well, wasn't even quite a half shot though. Only removed 2 Yellowstones, the shooter and the raised one. So yeah, I guess they got Team MacKenzie got the miss they were looking for.
they did back, and then they would have forced MacKenzie's team to make the good shot.
Yeah, exactly. And here now, MacKenzie's throwing to set 3.
It's still a good situation for Team Thompson, but
That's true. The house is open, you know, but you don't really want to be near up 2 in the end, and like to make it easy on yourself.
I think the player should be keeping his line clean. This down that similar path where we've had a couple picks.
And there we go. So which one do you hit? You're not drawing. Yeah, the top one, the option for rolling in front and kind of making Doug make a difficult shot is here when you hit the top one. So looking for the roll here. Nose is fine, but they'd love to roll over toward the center line.
It might get a little roll. Oh, another foot in. But you know, if the MacKenzie team, yeah, they could nose. They could hit and roll in front of the other and force them to draw.
And that was the whole point there for Team Thompson of rolling is if they hadn't rolled or they'd rolled out, it would have been a different shot for Team MacKenzie, but they have to hit this Yellowstone. But do you have to hit it out? I don't think so. You can tap it back and leave your shooter in front.
Well, I think they're going to hit it out. The question is whether they want to nose. See, if they nose,
then Kendall could nose, but there's always the risk of rolling out. But I think they were talking about maybe rolling a little bit to the other side of the center line. You risk jamming, though. I think you just have to sit 3 and hope for the best at this point. So Doug's last shot of the 10th end here, down 2, but a chance to hit 3 and force a good shot out of his opponent. And keep the stone high as center line. Don't want to risk a jam. And stick the shooter around.
you want it.
So it'll be a nose hit for the single point and the win here.
Well, Selena, I'm glad you joined me tonight. I've gotten tired the last few ends, so it's gotten a little quiet.
We were so busy watching and keeping everybody updated. And if you didn't catch all the final scores, you can see that on nscurl.com as we get ready to watch Kendall Thompson throw the last rock in 10 of the game against Doug MacKenzie, draw 1 of the Deloitte Tankard. Here we go.
It's pretty good. It's clean, clean, clean. Great words you love to hear when you're front end. So that's a win for Kendall Thompson over Doug MacKenzie. It was a great game. It was a close game. I think if that pick hadn't happened in 8, we could have had a different game on our hands. But so that's a wrap for tonight. And Selena said earlier the ladies will be on in the morning and showing games on sheet C and sheet D. They'll be featuring Colleen Jones playing Julie McAvoy, and Kristen McDermott playing Mary Macklin Driscoll. And or come on down to the Dartmouth Curling Club. All 4 games will be on, and they're seating downstairs, they're seating upstairs. And it's great to watch live, but it's, for those that can't get out, we're happy to be doing this live streaming with our streaming partner live. And that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us, and